Jason Wyrick, the executive chef of the Vegan Taste and New York Times bestselling author. Today I'm going to show you how to make something I've been interested in for a while, which is Birria Ramen. Alright, so let's get started. So first I'm going to talk about the ingredients that go in this. We're going to put in some onion, some garlic. I've got some ground cumin, some ground cinnamon, something interesting, fresh pepper and clove. And we're going to do 3 different types of chilies. So we're going to do a guajillo chili. This is kind of a long red chili. It's fairly mild. When you get red enchilada sauce, that's usually what the red enchilada sauce is made out of. Then we're going to add in a pasilla chili. And this is cool. It's got a darker, more caramel flavor to it. It's going to give the broth some depth. And then I like spicy food, so I'm putting in a chipotle. And if you have the canned chipotles, the chipotles in adobo, you can put those in too. 1, 2 chipotles should be more than enough for what you're doing. We're also going to add in some bay leaf, some fresh oregano, some fresh thyme, and some Roma tomato. And then all that's going to do is simmer in the pot. We're going to blend it up, and that's going to make our birria consomme. One cool thing to talk about is I got some really nice charring here on these onions and this garlic, and that's going to give the consomme some depth. In fact, if you've ever made pho, this is kind of how you make a pho broth too. It's very similar. The onions are pan roasted, so you can see this is a completely dry pan, nothing's in there. I cut these into discs and I put them in whole, and I even let the garlic blacken a little bit. So this is going to give a little bit of bitterness to it and a lot of depth. If you have an open flame grill, you can even put the onions and the garlic over the open flame, and it's going to get even better. And for the onion, I like to use a white onion for this, and really all I did was take the onion and I cut them into discs that are about that thick. Nothing else was in the pan, and I just put straight in there, and then you just have to sit there and wait and wait. And it takes a few minutes to get that nice blackening on there, but once it starts, you can smell it. It's really, really beautiful flavor. So once you got all that done, the process is actually fairly easy. What I like about this is it looks like a lot of stuff, and it's one of the easiest things in the world you can make. So you can see that nice charring I've got on the onion. What I'm going to do is throw all that garlic and the onion from the pan into our water. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these Roma tomatoes and just quarter them up. And you don't have to make it pretty, because this is all going to go in some water to soften up, and then it's going to get pureed up. All right, and then we're just going to put in the chilies. So what I do is I take some scissors, snip the ends off the chilies. If you want, you can shake the seeds out, but I like the seeds. It's a little bit of extra heat. This just goes directly into the water. Same thing with that pasilla. And the chipotle, you don't even have to snip the end of it off. All that's going to go directly in the water. Just push it down so it gets all submerged, and then we can add in our herbs and spices. So we're going to add in some bay leaf, a little bit of ground cumin, a little bit of cinnamon, and you don't need a lot. Just a little bit of that goes a very long way. And you can see it's 4 black peppercorns and 1 whole clove, and that is all you need to flavor that consomme. And we're going to add in something really special, which is this smoked salt that we've got. That's going to give that consomme a little more depth. Now we're going to add in just some regular salt into that, and this is going to simmer. probably for about 10 minutes. And during that time, we're gonna make up our mushrooms. And by the way, these are the fresh herbs that are gonna go in. So we have some oregano. And we're gonna put some thyme in there. So these are oyster mushrooms. They're actually, they look different, but they're actually just two different types of oyster mushrooms. And really there's very little difference in flavor. It's all about the size and kind of the pretty color presentation on these. So what I'm gonna do is start by chopping these. And you don't wanna get them into super small pieces or else they're gonna kind of disappear as you cook them because they are gonna shrink a little bit. And so I have this mix of these pretty yellow ones and these longer, kind of standard looking oyster mushrooms. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take these harder stalks and I'm gonna cook these up first until they're really well browned. And then I'm gonna add these to that stock that we're making, and then we're gonna get everything blended up, and that's just gonna add more depth of flavor to this. So to start, I'm just gonna put some oil in this pan. And I've got that pan pretty hot. It is just a little bit above a medium-high heat. It's not cranked up all the way, but it is really close. And then I'm gonna add those stalks in. I'm gonna kind of keep them to one side so I can keep these bits separated since they're going into two different places. And I'm gonna dress everything with just a little bit of salt. Stir everything around and make sure it gets coated with that oil and the salt. And then this is a lot of, honestly, patience, because at this point you don't want to sit around and mess with the mushrooms too much. You want them touching that pan as much as possible because that's what's going to brown those mushrooms. So really, like, now that we've got the mushrooms in the pan, the trick to this is just to let them sit there and wait, because them touching that bottom of the pan is what browns those mushrooms, and we want that browning on it. Once we get that, what we're going to do is take these stalks, which are nice and brown. We're going to add those to the broth and that we've got simmering on the side, and then we're going to blend it up. And that's going to create that delicious, unique Birria ramen that we're making. Now that I've got that broth simmered, our mushrooms are cooked up, and this has cooled down just a little bit because we don't want to destroy our blender. We're going to add in these mushroom stalks into the liquid. You can see these beautiful brown mushroom bits that we cooked up. And those are actually going to go on as a garnish to the ramen. So remember, those bottom hard stalks in the pot, the rest of them are going to get garnished onto the ramen. And just start adding our ingredients to it. Add some olive oil to this. That's going to give it a really nice full-bodied flavor. And then, this is very important, you're going to put a lid on it, but make sure this part is open so all that steam can escape. Just start the blender on low. And then you're just going to slowly crank it up. Going to go until it's smooth. Now at this point you can strain it if you want to, if you want a really nice and clear broth, but I like all those bits in it because I just think it's more flavor. And what I'm going to do at this point, back into our pot. And then I'm gonna add just a little bit of water to thin that out. And once it's simmering, I'm gonna take these. These are fresh ramen noodles, and we're gonna cook the ramen directly into that broth. So now that this has started to simmer, what I'm gonna do is just cut these packets open, or attempt to. Get our ramen into the broth. And then just break it up a little bit, but don't break it up too much because you're gonna reach in with those tongs and grab it right back out once it's done. This only takes like a minute to cook with these fresh noodles. So this cooks really fast, so all I'm gonna do now is take out that delicious ramen. I've got some of that delicious broth. And then I'm just gonna take some of these mushrooms, bend it up, put these off onto the side. Garnish with some green. Put a lime wedge on there. And we have a beautiful bowl of birria ramen.